Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning into Tokyo Moment. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning into Tokyo. My name is T. Here we are again with another yo-yo review, and it's nice to get back to Yoyo Empire. And we're going to be taking a look at another one of the Wind series today. This is the third one that I've purchased in the Wind series. We're going to be looking at the Yoyo Empire Zephyr. Is this one yo-yo that's going to make your tricks easy breezy, or does this yo-yo have no wind in its sails? This is a very soft V. You're going to notice that the corners of the yo-yo where you'd normally have that very sharp area is very rounded off. This is super smooth. You can see on the edge here. Goes into the rim, and around here where the rim goes down into the gap, everything is rounded off very nicely. In the cup you have the aluminum finger spin zone that many of Yoyo Empire's throws have, and especially the Wind series, they're all kind of known for this, having this inner cup here, and then the very nice, very comfortable, extremely functional finger spin zone. The material is another one of these palm yo-yos in the Wind series, similar to the Notice and the Eurus, and obviously, as I mentioned before, I love palm. I prefer it to polycarbonate. I feel like it's more durable. I feel like it does feel a lot better in the hand, and I feel like it definitely does grind a lot better too. The feel of the Zephyr is really solid in the hand. It fits in very nicely. Even though it is a V shape, as I mentioned, a lot of V shapes I find are uncomfortable. It's not my favorite shape at all, actually. But when you have something this rounded off, this smooth, this comfortable with such a soft plastic, it feels really nice to hold. So it does manage to keep that performance-y shape, but at the same time, it also just feels great. And the look is very toy-like. As I've mentioned with all the Yoyo Empire throws, it feels just like a fun yo-yo. I always absolutely love getting Yoyo Empire yo-yos because they're just so much fun to throw. And this one, along with the rest of the Wind series, looks really cool. It has that very bright, fun, toy-looking feel. But it doesn't look cheap either. It just looks great all around. You've got the blue around here, that really rich navy blue, and in the center you've got the gold aluminum fingerspin zone. You can't really see it in here because it's under the bearing, but the spacers that are underneath here are gold as well, so the whole thing just looks great. Comparing it to another V shape you're going to see here with the Vapor Motion, that's a much sharper V shape. You see here the rim is a lot more cut off, whereas this is more rounded. I don't have the Eurus on me right now, but I do have the Notice, so this is another one in the Wind series. You can see here that they play with, I believe, pretty similar specs, if not the exact same, but the shapes couldn't be more different. But it definitely does feel a lot different than the Notice. I found out all about Yoyo Empire from Spin Gear, and that's usually where I was always ordering my Yoyo Empires from. And so when I saw that there were new ones coming out, I was kind of waiting with a lot of anticipation, and finally Spin Gear managed to get a bunch of the Yoyo Empire stuff, so I was really excited to be able to pick this one up. So I did order it from their website. I ordered it based on how much I love the Eurus and the Notice. The Boreas I already have in polycarbonate, but I just really wanted to try this one because I've never had like a plastic kind of V shape that's quite like this. But yeah, it was kind of a no-brainer. Once I saw it was on there, once I saw it was in a color I don't really have very many yo-yos in, especially the blue and gold together, it was kind of a no-brainer. I just decided to pick it up. As for the history of the yo-yo itself, as I mentioned, it is part of the Wind series. You've got one of these plastic palm yo-yos for each of the winds, so the south, north, east, and west wind. I've got 3 of them so far, the Notice, the Eurus, and this one, the Zephyr. I have reviewed the other 2 that I mentioned. You can go check that out. Hopefully I'd like to pick up a Boreas in the palm someday here. We'll have to just see how it goes. But the whole series is fantastic, so basically you can just look at whichever one you want. If you like organics, get the Notice. You know, if you like chunky rims, get the Eurus. This one, like I said, has that sporty shape, so there's one of these for everybody. It plays extremely smooth on the string. You're not going to have any problems with whips, slacks, and... Are you kidding me right now? you're not going to have any problem with whips, slacks, anything like that. It's very, very easy to get the string into the gap. It does feel heavier than the other ones. I'm not sure why. The Urus feels pretty nimble. Yeah, okay, so you can probably tell the location has changed quite a bit, so sorry about that. You can probably still hear it in the background. There's a wood chipper going way over there where I usually film, so I needed to come over here to this relatively quiet corner. Anyway, let's get on with the review, I guess. So this one actually does feel a lot heavier than the others, and I'm not sure why that is. The Urus feels super, super light. That's the H shape I reviewed before, and the Notice feels just kind of generally all around. But the Zephyrus does feel a little heavier, and maybe that's because of the more normal shape. The Urus has a pretty extreme shape, and the Notice is obviously an O, but the Zephyrus is just a straight V. The weight distribution is maybe something you might be a little more used to, but it does feel a little heavier and a little more dense on the string. It's extremely smooth. It's a really nice little V shape. Despite, like I said, it feeling a little heavier, it moves really, really quickly. Feels really nice in the hand. I mentioned before that I'm not a huge fan of V shapes normally, but as you can see here, the edges of this are super rounded off, so I literally couldn't be any rounder. There's not a single sharp edge on this thing, despite the fact that it's a V, which is usually, you know, your performance shape. It has a really stable feeling too. Like the Notice and the Urus are pretty stable as far as those plastics go, but I do feel like the Zephyrus also does carry on the stability of the series. The grinds of this are fantastic, as is the case with most of the Yoyo Empires, if not all of them. For grinds, you just can't find a better shape. You know, your finger nestles right in there. There's very, very little friction with the Yo-Yo, and because of the really nice material, because of the machine palm, you know, the material works really well with grinds. You're not going to find any problems with the Yo-Yo slowing down too much. As always, finger spins are just perfect on all of these Yo-Yos, all the Wind series, but it's carried on just as well with this one. You can see you have the aluminum catch zone inside here. Around that you've got the kind of bowl-shaped area which just leads your finger in perfectly, so even if you miss horribly, it's still going to be guided into the center no problem, and that aluminum finger spin catch zone just lets your finger spin go for a really long time. I like the way it looks too with the blue and the gold. I don't know, there's something really different about it. I like the color combos that Yoyo Empire uses. And it's nice too that I mentioned that it plays nice on the string, but it has that really nice wide catch zone. As you can see here, you know, there's no sense of, like, the Urus has kind of an H shape and the Notice has that O which curves in. But this, you know, there's just a really, really wide catch zone, and that's why people kind of prefer V shapes for performance and stuff, because they have a bigger catch zone. It's easier to get the string in there. And obviously with this, you're not going to have any problems catching the string, whips, slacks. Everything works just fine on this, just as well as you'd expect on any V-shaped metal yo-yo. And actually, I prefer to throw whips and slacks and things that might get you into a knot on this more, because it's plastic, because the material is softer. If you do get like a rebound or a snag or something like that that you weren't expecting, it doesn't hurt too bad because of the material. Oh, man. For pros, it's really cheap. You can't get much cheaper than the Wind series. These are all around 20 bucks. Kind of depends on which store you get them at. They're more like 30 in Japan, but I still think that's a totally awesome price for these. As is the case with the whole Wind series, the look is really cool. Obviously, this has got some little cuts on the end here that make it look unique. It's got the rounded nature, even though it's a performance V. I just really like the look of it. The color, too. It's really smooth. As I've mentioned with the other in the Wind series, these take a little bit of tuning. When you first get them, they're pretty much dead smooth, but after some tuning, I found that these are 9 out of 10, if not 10 out of 10 smooth. It's really nice to have yo-yos that not only, you know, come almost smooth, but that you can really feel like tuning actually does something. It's really nice. It's the same with this one. This thing is just butter. It grinds really, really well. As I mentioned, you have the nice catch zone, and the material lets you grind for a long time. The finger spins are really good. I already talked about that, but just as the same with all the other Wind series, you have no problem with finger spins. I don't know, something about it just feels really capable. Like I mentioned with the Urus and the Notice as well, these just feel like they're yo-yos that do just about anything. It's soft, as I mentioned, even though you usually have those sporty V shapes that are really sharp and angular. Oh, man. And like I said, it responds to tuning, which is really nice. Not too much in the way of cons. The only thing I would mention is that you should probably use a thicker string with this. I've mentioned it with the Notice and the Urus as well, that the response that comes in these isn't the best. It is fine with a thick string, but I've put joker pads into all 3 of the Wind series that I have, and they play beautifully with a better response system, so I do recommend that. I think the Yoyo Empire Zephyrus is really good choice for somebody who wants a plastic, is a little bit more performance-based, a little more sporty, that looks really cool, and isn't gonna break the bank. It's nice to have performance shapes that are a lot easier to afford. So I like that you can get a performance V shape that's not too serious, that is rounded off and nice and comfortable, but it's just a great price, and it's a great introduction into the Wind series. It's a great introduction into Yoyo Empire as well. Is this my favorite of the Wind series? I wouldn't say so. Right now, my ranking for those is still Notice, Eurus, and then the Zephyrus in that order. But it's really hard to beat the Notice. That thing is so awesome. But I definitely do feel like if you're not the biggest fan of O's or H's, then you should go with the Zephyrus. You really can't beat it for price, performance, smoothness, everything about it. I just don't understand how Yoyo Empire gets plastics this smooth. Everybody I've talked to says the same thing. These things are crazy, amazingly smooth, and play so well for their price. I almost feel like I'm stealing from Yoyo Empire when I buy these things because they just play so much better than they cost. And they blow other plastics completely out of the water from every other company I've played. Alright boys and girls, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave me a like, a comment, a subscription. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much to CloZee for the use of their song Koto, which I used at the beginning of this video, and for the outro as well. Love that song. You should love it too. Go give them some love. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. Have a nice day, and sayonara.